Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I rise in opposition to this bill. So the current law requires that a fast-acting barbiturate be used. And those words were used because it was thought at the time that that was the most humane way to kill someone, if indeed there could ever be a humane way to kill someone. This bill would eliminate that language and replace it with any lethal substance or substances. No limitations. It could be an experimental drug. It could be a particularly cruel or painful drug. It doesn't have to be approved by the FDA or a doctor. Anything goes. So at the hearing, when this point was brought up, the good sponsor said, well, we're not going to use antifreeze. But he said we have a protocol. DOC has a protocol that we use. At that time, we didn't have the protocol, but we do now. And the protocol, of course, is not law, like this bill is. It can be changed. And indeed, it probably will. But what the protocol says is that you should use sodium pentothal and 2 other drugs. But those drugs haven't been available for more than a decade because they were found to violate an international treaty against torture. So the protocol goes on and says, if those drugs are not available, you can use pentobarbital. But the manufacturer of pentobarbital prohibits it being used for this purpose. And so it's not available legally either. And the protocol goes on and says, if that's not available, you can use anything, any drug. And so the bill says any substance, and the protocol says any drug. There's no guarantees of anything. There's no doctor involved in the protocol. There's no FDA involved in the protocol. It's prison officials and the protocol who decide on the drug, decide on the dosage, insert the needles. No limitations. But that's not all. The last time the DOC tried to use this, which led to the case that the good sponsor referenced, they tried to use phenobarbital. Now, phenobarbital, because the manufacturer won't allow it to be used, is obtained through the black market, if you can obtain it at all, in violation of the intellectual property rights of the manufacturer. It was, in fact, obtained by the feds in that little spate of executions we just saw. And it resulted in the death of a man named Wesley Perkey, who was executed in July with this illegally obtained drug. There was a forensic autopsy prepared on Mr. Perkey, and the coroner said that it caused a sensation identical to that reported by victims of near drowning or suffocation like waterboarding. The coroner found that this drug, in fact, is torturous. And when it comes from a compounding pharmacy rather than the manufacturer, the only way it can be obtained, that is on the black market.
1 minute.
It's even more dangerous because it doesn't have any standards for manufacture. This, my friends, is not a technical issue. Torture is not a technical issue. And then finally, I want to come to the fiscal note. $100,000 per execution just to carry this out. $400,000 in litigation expenses anticipated by DOC for each one of these executions. And then an equal amount for the defendant's attorneys. In sum, this bill makes the death penalty process crueler, longer, and will inevitably lead to another years-long lawsuit against the state. Until the DOJ comes with a fix that won't do that, we should maintain the status quo and hit the pause button on executions in Montana. A vote for 244 is a vote to restart inhumane executions. Vote no. Thank you.